The housing market is the talk of the town lately, and so many of you have been reaching out with great questions. But one of the most commonly asked questions that I've been getting recently is now a good time to buy a home? And that is an amazing question to think about, and I want to give you some perspective from both sides. Yes, it is a good time to buy, and why, and also no, why it isn't a good time to buy. So make sure you stay to the very end, because I'm going to cover both sides, and you can decide for yourself, is now the right time for you to purchase. My name is Seanu Uyehara. I'm a branch manager with Loan Depot, helping you finance your homes all across America. Whether you're thinking about buying your first house, buying a second home, or looking to grow your real estate portfolio, or simply learn how to manage your mortgage, make sure to click the description for links to more information. And if you ever need a second opinion on your purchase or refinance, make sure to send me an email. I'd be happy to do an analysis for you and help you get your mortgage right. And don't forget, if you love this video, make sure to help me spread the word, share this with your friends and family, and make sure to hit that subscribe button, because me and my team are dropping videos every single week to help you understand the mortgage game. Before we hop into the question of the day, I want to give a special shout out to our commenter of the week, Tanisha Hooker. Tanisha asked the question, I have $200,000 of equity or so. Can I just turn a refinance on my first mortgage into a home equity line of credit? Tanisha, that's a great question, but unfortunately you can't. So the only way you can pull a home equity line of credit is if your house is completely paid in full, where the home equity line of credit will then replace your first mortgage and be your only mortgage. Or if you have an existing mortgage, your HELOC would then be in second position. Those are two of the traditional ways to obtain a home equity line of credit, but that is a great question. And if you guys have specific questions, make sure to comment below so I can feature you in our next video and we can talk about those questions. Now back to the video. Is now a good time to buy? Now, in my opinion, it really depends on you and your situation. Just because you're getting advice from a friend or family member, to me, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to relate to you the exact same way. And I'm going to explain why. So let's just say first that it is a good time to buy, because I do think that it is a great time to purchase if some of these parameters fit what you're looking for. First of all, if you are looking to buy a home and you know that real estate is a long-term investment, I think this is a great time to buy. Simply because no matter what happens to the market, if you're in it for the long haul, real estate has proven over time to be an amazing investment vehicle. Whether you are buying a home to live in, or if you're buying a home as an investment property, there are still amazing deals that are out there. And I know this because I'm looking at homes myself every single week, but I'm just being a little more cautious with what I'm looking to purchase right now. If I were looking to move into a home right now, my number one thing that I would look for is, what is my payment? I have to marry the payment, because at the end of the day, no matter what happens to the real estate market, whether we still continue to see an increase in home values over the next several years, or we have some sort of correction or leveling out and values start to slide backwards, which we're actually starting to see early signs of that right now, I'm not going to freak out and want to sell my house, or am I going to regret the home purchase? Just like I've shared my story, when I bought my house back in 2010, 11, the market was still in its downward turn. So I paid $175,000 for my house, and I believe the lowest it went to value-wise was about $120,000. I could have easily freaked out, panicked, sold my house, although I was upside down, so I would have had to do a short sale. But there's all these emotional thoughts that come into play simply because I was intending to buy the house to sell the property and make a profit. But that was never my intention. My intention was I needed a place to live. So that $1,000 mortgage payment was cheaper than what I was going to get for rent or anywhere else. So that's why I tell all of our clients, if you're looking to move into a home today, what's the payment? Forget the interest rate, forget what you're paying for the house. What is the payment? Can you stomach that every single month? Is it going to stretch you financially? Are you still able to live comfortably? And most of all, what would you be paying for rent? Because in Nevada, we don't have rent control. So you hear these horror stories, which I've shared with some of you, from some of our clients that have actually said their rents have gone up $500 a month, $1,000 a month. So not only do you need to consider what you're currently paying for rent, but what will you be paying for rent? And that to me is one thing that not a lot of clients are thinking about. I just talked to a client the other day, their lease is up in 2 months and they haven't asked their landlord that question. And to me, that's not a smart financial decision. You have to be proactive in this market, because things are moving fast with inflation going up, things getting more expensive. You have to know where every dollar is going. And if you're not, you could potentially put yourself and your family in a bad position. And I don't want to harp on the bad news here, but I think a lot of us need to really improve our financial education so that way we can be a little smarter about the decisions that we make. Now, if you are buying in today's market for an investment property, again, it's a long-term play. If you're looking to buy and flip, this might not be the market for you. Or if you're gonna buy and flip, you need to make sure you partner with someone who has experience and knows what they're doing, because you could easily buy a house, the market could shift, and you could be upside down on a property, you might not even be able to sell it. So I think if you're looking to buy for rental purposes, you have to look at the cash flow. What does the cash flow bring in every month? Are you negative? Are you breaking even? Or if you're doing short-term rentals like Airbnbs, what happens if your Airbnb can't get rented? Can you then at least break even with a long-term tenant in your property? To me, you have to play the worst case scenario in this market, because if you go back to 2007 and 8 when the market crashed, a lot of investors that bought properties or wannabe investors, they bought with the intent that they were gonna sell and they were gonna make a ton of money. None of them bought for cash flow. Cash flow didn't exist back then. But that's why I think if you're an investor in today's market, cash flow is the number one thing that's gonna get you through these rough times. Because again, no matter what happens to the value of the home, if I'm making money every single month, I do not care if my property loses 10, 20, 30% in value, because guess what? At the first of the month, the tenant's paying my rent. And that's how I've personally looked at buying all of my rental properties, to make sure that every single home is cash flowing $400 to $500 at a bare minimum every single month. So now I'm not necessarily concerned about a downturn in the market. In fact, because of all the cash flow I've accumulated over the last couple of years, I'm putting myself in a better position to take advantage of the market. So I would love to see things continue to go down, because I have a ton of cash that I'm ready to go and buy more rentals. And another reason why I would look at buying today is that there's less competition out there. We've all seen interest rates jump up over the last 30 days. I remember first telling clients that rates are at 6%, and they literally thought I was lying to them and I was trying to cheat them out of buying a house. The rates were 6%. I've even seen some rates in the mid sixes. So what happens if rates continue to rise and they get to 7%, maybe even 8%? More and more buyers are going to stop looking. It's gonna cause panic. It's gonna cause frustration. It's gonna cause uncertainty, because most buyers out there have never seen 6%. They've never seen 7%. They're so accustomed to the 2 and 3% that we all got spoiled with. And here's a spoiler, guys. 2 and 3%, we've never seen that. I've said this before. You can go and Google this information on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's website. They show you a 50-year history of the 30-year fixed mortgage. Rates back in the day, 4, 5, 6, 7%, that was pretty common. So don't get spoiled. And remember, rates are relative. And in today's environment with where we are, rates are 6%. Now, could they get a little better? Potentially. But I wouldn't necessarily wait on the sidelines, because you have to remember this. If we go back to a 3 or 4% rate environment, all the buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines, guess what are they going to do? They're going to come back into the marketplace. So all the horror stories and all the frustrations that you all experienced over the last couple of years with 20 offers on a house, 30 offers on a house, guess what's going to happen? It's going to happen all over again. So if I was a first-time buyer, that is the last thing I would want, and I would honestly love a 6% rate. Like I mentioned, there's less competition, and when rates do take a turn for the better, I will be able to refinance into a lower interest rate. And number 3, with less competition, there comes more inventory. We've been seeing this across the country. More and more properties are hitting the market. They're also sitting for longer periods of time. So again, as a buyer, I have now more opportunities to look at properties. I don't have to necessarily fight over the one that I may not even really like. And I think that was the sentiment for so many people over the last couple of years, is that you were almost in this frenzy to purchase, that you wrote an offer or you bought a house that you probably didn't even like. You got into it because the alternative was continuing to shop, continuing to get rejected, and continuing to be disappointed week after week. So at some point, you got desperate, or you said, you know what, let's just get into a house, because why? We just need something to live in. And that's not the market we're in right now. As more homes hit the market, interest rates are up, a lot of buyers are pulling out, sellers are becoming more realistic with their pricing, and they're also willing to give credits, which is almost unheard of in the last several years. So all of these opportunities are really the best place to be if you are a buyer, which brings me to my last point as to why I would be buying a house right now. Like I just mentioned, sellers are becoming more realistic. I've seen this happen more and more these days, where sellers are either reducing the price of the home, or they're willing to offer some sort of credit to help you with your closing costs, interest rates buy down, or anything that could come along, paying for an HOA, transfer taxes. There's all these other negotiable items on a purchase contract that having a good realtor can ask for the right things to get you into a home. So again, with the combination of more inventory, interest rates going up, you being financially stable, ready to buy, and with sellers becoming a little more realistic with their prices, to me, that brews a perfect storm in order to be a buyer in today's market and take advantage of the market and where it's at right now. Now I'm gonna hop into the opposite end of the video, and we're gonna talk about why it's not a good reason to buy. But before I hop into the list, I wanna hear from you folks. What do you think about the market? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to share this with your friends, family, coworkers, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up so it helps my video get out to the rest of the YouTube world, and we can help educate people on the real estate market today. Now, I've got 4 points I want to talk about on the reason why maybe it's not a good time to buy. The first reason is if you're in it as an investor and you're looking to make a quick buck, this may not be the right market for you. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of markets that we've seen price corrections, things are starting to drop. You have to make sure that if you are looking to buy and get out of the home quickly, that your buy up front is done extra conservatively. Because if the market swings 10, 15, 20% and your labor costs go up, your cost to rehab the property goes up, you could easily be underwater on a deal. And that's one thing that got a lot of people in trouble back in 2008. So if you're unfamiliar with flipping properties, or you're just really inexperienced when it comes to a quick turnaround on a home, I would partner with somebody so that way you don't get hurt. You're not exposed financially to losing the property. Again, this is something that I've seen a lot of novice people get involved with. They make a few mistakes and they can easily get their you-know-what handed to them on their first investment. Number 2, why it's not a good time to buy. If all you care about is getting a 2% or 3% rate, this isn't the market for you. And I've talked to a couple of clients that were literally saying, I'd rather wait for rates to come back down and be low again for them to buy. I don't agree with that sentiment. I don't agree with that idea, simply because I think you're gonna be waiting for an extremely long period of time. And if rates were that low, I really don't even think they would have bought. Because when rates were in the 2% range, the pushback that I got from clients and leads was that I'm gonna wait because rates are gonna go to 1%. I think if that's you, I hope that's not you that's watching this video, because I hope that you're learning on what to do and take advantage of the market in the right way. But I feel like those types of clients are always finding a reason not to buy. And whether the rates go to 2%, 1%, they could have went to 0, and I probably bet you they still wouldn't have bought a house. So if you're banking on that to happen, again, this isn't the market for you, and I really think you're gonna be waiting on the sidelines for quite a bit of time before interest rates do trend back downwards to what you may deem as a low interest rate. And number 3, I wouldn't be buying a house today if I'm stretching myself financially. You might even sell a property, make a few $100,000, but you have to remember the market that we're in, you're having to pay a lot more just for the average house again today. Here in Vegas, our median home price is over $450,000, I believe. I think we're almost even close to $500,000. And if you look at that payment, that's about $3,000 a month in a mortgage. So if you're stretching yourself just to be able to make your mortgage payment, I would probably sit on the sidelines, get my finances in order, whether that's paying down credit cards, putting more money into a reserve account to make sure that if I do buy, I've got 6 months to a year worth of money saved up. So my job furloughs me, or I'm not working as many hours. Potentially, if I don't even have a stable job, you'd want to make sure you have enough money saved so that way you can keep yourself on your feet. Which brings me to my last point. If you're not stable with your job, that is another reason why I would not be buying a home in today's market. We've seen a lot of people get furloughed. We've seen a lot of people that they are being required to go back to the office to work where they may not necessarily want to do that. I've had a lot of clients that have been wanting to relocate all over the country, but at the last minute, their job is then calling them back to the office. So if you have some of these external things that can hold you back, whether it's your job, your health situation, whatever it might be, I think you got to take care of that first before you go out and buy and commit yourself to a property. Because again, if worse comes to worse, what if you relocated to Vegas, bought a house, your job says you need to go back to work, to the office. Now what do you do with the property? You could rent it, but that may not be something you want to deal with. And then at that point, what happens to the market? Do you have enough equity to sell your home? And most agents, when they do sell a property, you have to take into account the commission. Typically, a listing agent gets 3%, and typically a buyer's agent gets 3%. And then you might be having to offer credits or closing costs to the buyer. You could easily incur 9, 10+% just in cost to sell your property. So again, if we're at $500,000 and you decide to sell, that could easily cost you upwards of $50,000 just in commissions and closing costs. So you have to take into account all of these scenarios, take the worst case scenario, and be conservative with your purchase. And again, if these 4 topics, whether you're thinking about making a quick buck, your job's not stable, all you're searching for is the 2 or 3% interest rate, and you're stretching yourself financially, if any of those things hits your hot button, this may not be the market for you. And I would probably wait and see what happens in the next several months months to really make a smart decision so you're not putting yourself and your family in a bad spot. Now, remember, every single situation and motivation as to why you want to buy a home is going to vary. So if you have specific questions on your scenario, whether you're relocating here to Vegas or you're buying your first home and you really don't know where to start, don't forget, you can always reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. Hit the description below. You can send me an email. I'd be happy to answer your questions, point you in the right direction, and give you some guidance so you don't make any mistakes with your home purchase. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.